What's going on? Another day at my shop here. Figured it's time to give the old Vk56 some love. Didn't have the best luck with it last year. We did get a little bit of seat time with it. One drift event, and then she spun a bearing, so that was no fun. Swapped the engine, and she still has a bit of a tick, so I don't know if there's some clearance that needs to happen with the valves. Or the big cams. I don't know. I gotta dig into it, and that's basically what I'm gonna be doing. There, that wasn't so bad. Took me, I don't know, 15 minutes. Taking it all apart's easy. Peeled the bumper off, fenders, side skirts, bash bars just slip fits. Bada boom, bada bing. So that's a little bit easier to get to everything now. Even pulling out the seats and doing the wiring and stuff, it'll be much easier to just pop my head in there. Some of these body panels should be able to be reused. The one fender's pretty mint. This door's also mint. The other door needs a little love, but see if I can fix that door. Shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, front end's done. Contemplating doing the quarter panels. I don't know. Maybe we'll peel them off to the over fenders, but looks pretty cool, bare bones. See how big that frickin' intake is now. That's a healthy grow right there. But yeah, I got the vaulted ceiling and the lift since last time I worked on this, so I'm gonna get her up on the lift. And again, I don't have to suffer on my back now that I have a lift. Huge savior. So I might actually fire the car up and reposition it a little bit better and then get her up on the lift. Hopefully she fires up not bad. And yeah, take the quarters off and then dive into this engine. Got her to idle nicely. And big cam, she doesn't like to idle. So it's hard to hear through the video, but you guys can hear that. If anybody in the videos comment section wants to give me some advice, you let me know. That? Listen. Is that down low? It sounds like it's more coming from the left side. Anyway, that's what we're dealing with. There. Knockety knockety knock. Not good. But listen to her run, it sounds fine. Anyway, we'll get her sorted. So I'm not happy there. So I'm gonna move it, get her up on the lift, and yeah, just keep ripping shit off. Got her up on the hoist, or the lift, whatever you want to call it. Vaulted ceiling comes in handy. I can still go up another 3 feet or so. There's just one more thing I wanted to mention as far as kinks to be ironed out is the steering shaft. So I'll try to do this with one hand, but you give her a listen. See that chunky? Yeah, so steering shaft's hitting the header. So you feel that when you're drifting. That's another thing I gotta do. But firing it up again, I use my little stethoscope or whatever to kind of hone the sound. And it does sound like a valve train noise, which is good. It doesn't sound like the bottom end. This was supposed to be a solid motor, so if I take their word for it, that would lead me to believe it's a valve train issue, because I did swap the cams. So perhaps I missed, I don't know. I really don't know. I gotta pull a valve cover and see. But it's up on the left. The process has started. Feels good to get back into this car. But yeah, probably going to get into the engine a bit here. Take off some of these engine components that are easy to access. Probably the intake and the intake tube. And then see what we can find under the valve covers. Alrighty, so that wasn't so bad. Pulled the intake off, wiring harness. Pulled this valve cover. Like I said, I think the noise is coming from this side, but I can't be sure. One thing that I do kind of see is some kind of sheen or glitter in the oil. I don't know if you could see that in the video, so that's not a good sign. But I would like to grab my jumper pack and just turn it over right from the starter there. See if I can see any noticeable interference going on. Like I said, it runs fine, so I don't know if it is a cam issue or maybe it is the bottom end. Who knows? But I won't be able to do any more until I get my jumper pack. So get the jumper pack, turn it over by hand. Worst case, I drop the oil pan again, just check the bearings, just for some reassurance. Not ideal, but I have a little jig that goes shock tower to shock tower that will support the engine. I can just drop the subframe altogether. It's the easiest way of going about it. But I didn't be able to do steering shaft clearance at that time as well. So that's pretty much it for today. Got the jumper pack and see what we can come up with tomorrow. Could do a compression test on it as well. Not that that's going to tell me much as far as the knocking goes, but it should be a healthy engine as far as I was told. But who the frick knows? So got the jumper pack, crank her over from the starter there, and see what we can find out. Alrighty, so I did get my jumper pack, and I pulled off the other valve cover, pulled the spark plug so that it would spin a little easier, and as I figured, I couldn't really hear anything. Cams seem to be spinning fine. There's no chunkiness or anything that's noticeable or audible that I could see. So the next order of action is going to be draining the oil and dropping the pan. I got to see where this glittery oil is coming from that I can see under the cams here, just in the bottom of the heads. So something's not right, and there's really no way to get in there without taking it all apart. Not fun, but here we are. I'm going to get this thing figured out. It's killing me. I just need to get this thing back up and running properly. So I got my trusty jig right there. I just go shock tower to shock tower, and then ratchet strap off each header, and then just drop the whole front subframe and pull the pan. So up she goes, and down comes the oil pan. All right, got her stripped down. A little bit of a song and dance to get it off, but it is straightforward. A little labor intensive, freaking oil and shit all over the ground, but it's off. Subframe, control arms, the whole shebang. I did take off the drain plug, obviously. I put it back on the pan so it's not leaking everywhere. And I did cut open the oil filter, and it's not looking so good. I don't know if you can see in there. There's definitely some debris. So pan's coming down next. You can see the drain plug. I'll show you when I take the pan off. It also has quite a bit of metallic debris on it, so that's not good. Got to take off the oil filter, cooler sandwich plate, whatever you want to call it, oil pressure line, and then I'll drop this pan and see what we can find out. Maybe it is the bottom end. We're gonna find out shortly, but I do gotta admit, having a lift is a frickin' saving grace, man. Got my jig right there strapped up. Very rudimentary, but it works. So let me drop this pan and we will see what's inside. Okay, so I got the pan off. And from what I can see, all these bearings are pretty tight. She does look like a high mileage engine, or at least was missing oil change intervals, because a little tarnished in there, but there's no obvious signs of loose bearings or spun bearings. So it's got to be in the top end, which means I did all this for nothing. Shouldn't say nothing. I wanted to have some reassurance, but I am starting to get a little frustrated here because I don't know what the hell is going on with these motors. Like, I got drop-in cams, put the cams in, first motor spins a bearing. Alright, that's fine. Go get another motor. From the minute I start it, it's ticking, knocking, so I'm just kind of lost. I don't even know what to do. I'm going to pull the front cover off and perhaps there's a loose tensioner or something. I've been picking away at this car here on day 3 now. Got the front timing cover off just to check the tensioners and see how the timing looks. And everything's good. Timing's good. New guides and new tensioners. Tensioner on the right side here was a little stiff. I was able to compress it, but I had to remove it to be able to compress it. So I don't know. Maybe that's causing something, but the engine is in time. You can see the marks here. Everything's lined up. Everything's jiving. When I crank the engine over by hand, there is no resistance. The rod bearings look good. From what I can feel, there's definitely nothing loose. I've spun bearings before and you can usually find the culprit pretty quickly. So I'm just going to keep tearing it down and figure out what's going on here. Got these monster cams. So I'm going to probably pull the cams out, just check the buckets, see if I can find anything that's loose. Maybe one of the little keepers popped off a valve. I don't know. But I got to keep tearing into this until I find what the culprit is. But it's nice to know the bottom end is tight. And I'm hoping I don't have to pull the engine right out, because removing the headers is almost harder than removing the engine itself. And so with the subframe removed, all the accessories just hung up here with the makeshift jig. It's almost easier to just do what I can with it still bolted to the tranny. The exhaust is all still in there, so take out these cams and hopefully I could find what is making that tick tick tick. All right, many days later, I've been kind of picking away at this here, doing research as I can, and I think I found the culprit. So as I said earlier, the only thing I changed in this engine was the valve train, springs, shims, and bigger cams. So I went and checked the valve lash, and come to find out, on the intake side specifically, on the left side, was really, really tight. Like, the tolerance was way out of spec, way too tight. And so we got her back into spec, at least what I could find on the internet with what these engines should be with stock cams in there. And now she is within spec, at least as far as I could tell. Took some messing around, but I did manage to get the feeler gauge in all the spots here, so I'm thinking that was the issue. And when I listened to the noise, it was really favoring the left side here. Wasn't any noise coming from the right. Maybe there was, but when I used the stethoscope, I could really tell on the left side that the noise was definitely more audible. So the rod bearings are good. The engine was in time. All the keepers were there for the valves. So it had to have been the valve lash. At least I'm hoping. So now that I know that was the issue, at least I think it was, I'm going to put this all back together. And hopefully we can fire it up and hear no more tick, tick, tick. And if that's the case, we're going to get on the body work and make this thing look fresh again. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much a wrap for this one, because it's all just reassembly, and that's pretty straightforward. I do have intake flanges coming. I'm going to be getting those made. So hopefully get a custom intake made in the future here. But yeah, all this time thinking it was a valve lash. I'm not an engine builder, so yeah, I never really thought of that. I never checked the valve lash either when I installed the cams. Just threw it all together. Yeah, let's go. Drop in cams. Woohoo! Anyway, keep you updated on the next one here, and maybe a custom intake, some body work, and maybe some seat time in the spring. So yeah, that's her. Catch you on the next one.